Hello, my name is Severin Michael, and I grew up with a sister who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 5. Now, we need to start with a couple of questions here. What is diabetes, for instance? There are two kinds. There's type 1 diabetes, where the body has an autoimmune response to the pancreas, which prevents the pancreas from making insulin, which we will get to in a minute. There's type 2 diabetes, where the pancreas stops producing as much insulin, or your body becomes more resistant to the effects of insulin, meaning you have some, but your body can't use it. The common theme here is that the body is either unable to produce or unable to use insulin anymore in some way, shape, or form. Now, what is insulin? Insulin is a blood sugar maintenance hormone secreted by the pancreas. Without it, sugar will build up in your blood, and your body needs insulin to be able to use that sugar and convert it into physical energy. Given enough time, a lack of insulin will lead to a condition called diabetes-related ketoacidosis, otherwise shortened to DKA, where your body starts to break itself down in the search for what is usable glucose, as opposed to the glucose that is sitting in your blood due to no insulin, which leads to increased ketones in the blood, making your blood acidic, and you experience dehydration. DKA is fatal when left untreated. On the other hand, with too much insulin, which would lower your blood sugar values too much, you can be left with something called hypoglycemia, which is essentially too little blood sugar in your system at any given moment. How do diabetics receive insulin? Well, to begin, not all diabetics need insulin. Some diabetics just need to be able to watch how much sugar is in their blood and make sure that perhaps if their body needs more insulin, it has it. But for a number of people, 8.4 million citizens of the US specifically, need insulin. So how do they receive it? Well, insulin pumps, as in the picture in the top right. It automatically sets the flow rates of insulin into the body through a pump site, which is typically placed onto a fleshy area of the body, which will constantly inject insulin into the body at a steady rate. Syringes, which you can guess what they do. They inject insulin into the body. And insulin pens, which are like syringes, just it has a pre-measured volume of insulin already in it, which is similar to how an EpiPen has adrenaline in it. You stick it in and you have insulin to use. So why is insulin an issue? What causes this? Well, there's issues of price.
Before the Medicare cap at $35 per month, there were some people on Medicare who were paying $400, $500 per month.
Insulin costs are historically extortionately high, reaching out-of-pocket costs of up to $800 to $900 per month. Other medical supplies are also very expensive. Test strips, for instance, you tend to need to test your blood to make sure that you have appropriate amounts of blood sugar. It's not too high, or else you go into DKA, or it's too low and you go into hypoglycemia. Both are bad, so you need to be able to check and make sure that you have enough, not too much, not too little. And in that case, you test upwards of 3 to 4 times a day if you're using test strips and test lancets. A test lancet is when you poke your finger or some part of your body and then you use a test strip to essentially pull some blood out and insert it into a glucose monitor. One test strip costs about $1 per strip, and you typically have to use it about 3 to 4 times a day, which can lead up to $120 per month just for monitoring glucose. You're beginning to see further issues other than the insulin. You have continuous glucose monitors, which are in similar function to a pump, an insulin pump, except it essentially checks your glucose levels constantly. $300 a month for sensors, an additional $300 every 3 months. That's $300 baseline, and then an extra $100 every month for a new transmitter. There's also issues of quality for insulin specifically. There are older versions that you can find in, say, Walmart or other stores like that, but not all insulin's the same. So then what is the difference between insulin from, like, say, Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk and, say, Walmart's cheaper insulin products or other similar insulin products? From my understanding, they're like analogs, they're older versions.
Yeah, and that's one that generally, of course, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk those are going to be considered like the gold standard of insulin products. Not just here, but around the world. Novo Nordisk actually is a Danish company, and so it provides insulin all around the world. I'm not sure if Eli Lilly exports its brand or not, but those are certainly considered, I think, the gold standard insulin products. So Walmart claims, I see on their website that they claim to use a Novo Nordisk product or Novo Nordisk derived product. The issues that I understand with with Walmart is that they don't have analog. They don't sell analog insulins, which some people, really want. And the analog products, I think, tend to be more expensive. And also they don't sell pens.
There are analog versions, there are non-analog versions. The ones that are sold at Walmart are not, they're old. They don't do the same things that current modern insulin does. And for instance, that can be fine for some people, but for a lot of people, that makes it really unpredictable, really dangerous, which means that more people need to check their blood sugar levels more often, leading to higher test strip expenses. Relion does cost $27 for a 10 milliliter bottle, however, which is much more affordable. On the other hand, Novolog, a newer version of the insulin manufactured by Novo Nordisk, because Relion, it is a generic insulin sold by Novo Nordisk, Novolog costs $350 for a 10 milliliter bottle. You typically need a lot per month. So what's being done?
Okay, so Medicare, that passed in Congress last year, and as far as I'm aware, it's had immediate impact on people who are, in the Medicare program. So their costs are capped at $35 per month. I can tell you anecdotally, I know some seniors who are so grateful for that program.
As of January 2023, President Biden enacted the Inflation Reduction Act. Part of this act capped the cost of insulin, the out-of-pocket costs for Medicare beneficiaries, to $35 per month. While this is a phenomenal step in the right direction, this is only a step. As you may very well know, Medicare is only applicable to you if you are over 65 or meet other special prerequisites. It's not available to everybody. President Biden has, of course, expressed that he hopes to see affordable insulin for all diabetics that need it, and I praise him for that. In regards to that, some companies have stepped up to the plate and have matched that.
Players like Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk sort of yielded to public demand and outrage and started lowering prices on some of their brands.
Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi all have lowered some manufactured insulin prices down to $35 in response to Biden's call to action. There are some issues. You reportedly have to jump through hoops to access this capped insulin price sometimes. And also sometimes the price cap is for specific types of insulin, not necessarily every single produced type, which again, you have the same issue with the Walmart insulin, with Relion versus Novolog. People need specific types, and if they don't get the specific type, then their life and their ability to maintain their blood sugar levels becomes a lot harder. So what can be done? Well, the American Diabetes Association has a lot of ways that you can work through them to help enact change. You can volunteer within the program, you can monetarily donate, and you can participate in fundraisers. I have included these and other things that will be talked about later in the resource guide, links to all of these. So look there if you want to find them. And then external to organizations, you can write to your governors or senators and ask them to make cheap and affordable insulin available to anyone who needs it.